Hi, my name is Adam Levy, and I'm here at Guitar Center today to tell you about 4 new guitars in Martin's new Modern Deluxe Series. There's a D28, that's this guitar. There's also a D18. There's an OM28, and there's a 00028. So this is a D28, and I'm going to tell you about some of its features that are actually features that are in common with all 4 of these new guitars in the series. One of the most notable features is the VTS system. That's the vintage tone system that Martin's using on these models. Some of Martin's most beloved guitars are their pre-war guitars that they built in the 1930s. They have quite a collection of them back at the Martin factory and museum in Nazareth. And so they're able to study those guitars on a molecular level and see what it is that makes them sound so special. And with this new series, they're using proprietary technology to temperature treat the tops of all the guitars in this series, so that they have a very close match, again, down to the molecular level of these old guitars from the 30s. So even though they're brand new guitars, they have a very familiar, worn-in, comfortable sound that if you're a Martin fan, you will absolutely love. Of course, the sound of a guitar isn't the only thing that makes it special. It's also how it feels in your hands. The neck profile on this guitar, this is the D28, is just so easy from the bottom of the neck all the way up to the top. Wherever you are, the notes just fall under your fingers. It's really comfortable. Also, the neck is lightweight. Some guitars can be a little bit top heavy because of basically because the weight of the truss rod. And in these guitars, Martin is using a new titanium truss rod technology. So it's very light. It helps everything resonate, and it just feels when it's in your hand like the guitar almost just wants to take off. It's really beautiful. These guitars are really dynamic, if that's the word. You can dig in really hard on them. You can also play softly, and wherever you want to go with your music, the guitar will follow you. There's a couple features that are kind of behind the scenes here that I think are part of why the guitars are so dynamic like that. And one is they're using a fish glue to hold the guitars together. That's, I guess, not the usual kind of glue you find in most guitars. And what it does is it creates a really tight seal, so there's no sound lost. The fish glue you can't really see, but one thing you can see is these bridge pins. This is something I've actually never heard of before. They're made from liquid metal. Quite often bridge pins will be some kind of wood or plastic or something. But these liquid metal bridge pins really help to amplify the sound of the guitar. Another behind-the-scenes sort of feature here, one that's doing a lot of work but that you wouldn't necessarily see, is the bridge plate. The bridge plate on all of the guitars in this series is made of graphite. Graphite, of course, is lightweight and very strong. And what that means is that the top can really move freely. I also wanted to mention, this is just something really beautiful. I don't know that it affects the tone, but there's this mother of pearl inlay on the Martin logo. I just think it's really beautiful. Now I just want to play the guitars and let you hear them and tell you what I'm hearing. So this is the D28, and it sounds like this. As you might expect from a dreadnought-sized guitar, this is just a big, rich cannon of a guitar. It fills the room. Of course, if you put a mic up close on it, it could get all the little detail that's going on here. Though the sound is big, it's not at all boomy. It's a very balanced sound. There's some sparkle on top. There's some good, meaty mid-range. It's just a really well-balanced guitar. And as you go up the neck, none of that is locked. I'm going to finger pick a little because that's also, of course, what you want to do on a guitar. And it's not surprising, it takes really well to finger picking too. Again, you could hit it really hard. Or you could play it really light. And it doesn't mind at all. And as you go up the neck, it's just really in tune, it's really balanced. You can't find a bad note on this guitar. It's really wonderful. So the next guitar that I want to play is the D18. It's similar in a lot of ways to the D28. Two main differences: the D28 has herringbone binding, whereas this one doesn't. The main thing that makes a D18 different from a D28 is the wood of the back and the sides. On a D18, which this is, it's mahogany. The D28 has rosewood back and sides. And what that means is the overall tone character is pretty different, even though the tops are very similar and the construction is very similar. The character of mahogany is to my ears, what's different about it from rosewood is that it's more mid-range forward, whereas a rosewood guitar is going to have a little more bottom and maybe a little more top. The mahogany is going to be centered more down the middle. It's not an extreme thing, but it's something that you notice, especially in a recording session. So my impression is that this has a little less bottom than the D28, but that some of the stuff that sounds like more shimmer here might just be the absence of the super low end rather than an exaggerated high or middle end. Let's just see what it's like up high here. Yeah, so in the room, this guitar is definitely a little smaller sounding than the D28. In a recording environment, that would be a beautiful thing. It would be a very easy sound to capture and a very easy sound to blend with other instruments. Let's see how it takes to finger picking. Yeah, this is a guitar that just makes you want to write songs, and it's got a really cool voice, and I think if you're a singer-songwriter, as I am, this would be a good kind of friend to have around. The next guitar we're going to look at is the OM28. Quite a different body shape from the two guitars that we saw first, the two Ds. This does have a cosmetic thing in common with the D28 that I wanted to mention just because it's cool looking. This is herringbone. I don't think it's made from a real herring, but that's what they call this. And it's just a beautiful detail to look at from the front. And from the side, the binding is not the usual kind of plasticky white binding that you see on a lot of guitars, but it's actually made from wood. This is unusual and really cool little detail. Feel-wise, this neck to me feels a little less round. Either of the dreadnought size guitars, the D18 or the D28, it feels a little more flat and speedy and modern. I kind of like, bigger, chunkier necks, but I think some people really do like these faster, modern necks. So if that's your thing, this might speak to you. I'm curious to hear and feel what it's like to go up the neck on this one, which I haven't really done yet. It's nice and even all the way up. When you play melodies going across different strings, there's a nice balance across the strings. You know, it's one of the quirky things about the guitar is like you're playing a melody, and here you're on wound strings, and then now you're on a plain string. It's a pretty different piece of material under your fingers, and on some guitars, that difference can get a little bit hard to wrangle, but this feels all of a piece, which is a nice thing. Same thing down here with the chords. You know, this is a fairly spread out chord if you saw it, you know, laid out on a piano. And all of those pitches sound of a piece. So that's really nice. Now I'm gonna finger pick a little bit on the OM28 just to see how it takes to that. I'm now in drop D tuning. Yeah, really cool. String spacing on this is nice. It's very comfortable for finger picking. The last guitar we're gonna look at in the Modern Deluxe series is the 0028. It looks quite similar to the OM28, and so you might wonder, well, what's the difference? The main difference really between OM-sized guitars and 00-sized guitars is the scale length. The scale length is just how much string there is between the nut and the saddle. I haven't got out a tape measure or anything, but I'm gonna guess this is about 3/4 of an inch shorter than the OM. And what that gives you is a little bit more of a compressed sound. That's a good thing, especially for recording. The sound just kind of hangs together and it's very focused. An OM-sized guitar, to my ears, sound a little stringier, maybe because there's a little more length as the string vibrates. I don't know a better word than stringier. You just get a sense that you're playing strings. On a slightly shorter scale guitar, and this, nobody would call this a short scale guitar, but it is shorter than. The effect is compression. The overall dynamic range is a little bit smaller in a good, useful way. That can be a really cool thing in a recording situation especially. Let me play it a little bit and give you an idea what it sounds like, and you can hear it for yourself and see what it sounds like to you. So yeah, that feels really cozy down there in the first position. Let's see what happens as we go up the neck a little bit. Like all the guitars, it's very light. As I mentioned earlier, that's having somewhat to do with the graphite bridge plate and the titanium truss rod. So the guitar is built to be light and strong and just be as resonant as it can be. I like the lightness. They all have a very, light quality, a very resonant quality, and they're all quite different. Blindfolded, I think any guitar player who's been playing for a while could very easily tell one from the other. They're not meant to be voiced the same as each other. They're just meant to be voiced as really great examples of this is a rosewood dreadnought, this is a mahogany dreadnought, this is a rosewood OM, this is a rosewood triple O. You know, Martin knows what those guitars are supposed to sound like because they've been building them for a while, and they know what makes them tick. They've done everything that they can do with, you know, modern technology to bring the spirit of those guitars into the modern world, and I think they've done a really good job with that. So that's the Martin Modern Deluxe Series. Try one out at your local Guitar Center, or you can see them online at guitarcenter.com.